December the 28th, 2018. Guys, happy holidays. Don't forget the reason for the season. Everyone drive safe. We got some winter weather coming in. It's going to affect the Northeast. So just be careful through between now and New Year's. I want to go over a video that was taken down in the BP Earthwatch takedown, one of, I think, maybe 3,000 videos, and it was taken down once before during a hack. But I think it's relevant now. It's very important, and I think that's why I've been compelled for the last few days to look back and try to go back over this. You could go into this for hours, but I don't want to do that. I want to stir your interest and point out a few things here. We're talking about the first beast, the second beast, the mark of the beast, and what happens to you if you take the mark of the beast. Again, it could take hours going into the details, what I think the mark is, who I think the beast is they're talking about here. But let's read through this, and it says, I stood upon the sand in the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. Now, guys, these 10 crowns, these 10 horns, and these 7 heads, these are talking about nations and kings, okay? Rise out of the sea. This is out of the population of the planet, the sea of the people. Think about what I'm saying. Many of you already know it. It says, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. His feet were as the feet of a bear. And his mouth is the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Now, it says, I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. Guys, do you realize that when Islam was defeated, it was defeated by the sword? There was a deadly wound to the head of the leaders of the Islamic nation at that time. Look back into 900 AD. Look at those battles that went back and forth. And now you see that the Islamic religion is a major religion that's being spread and very powerful and overwhelming. Look at Europe, look at UK, look at the devastation, the outlaw effect that this non-compromising religion, that it's their way or the highway or the sword's way if you don't comply. There's no compromise. It's conflicting civilizations cast together to bring about chaos. And I saw one of the heads that was wounded to death again, and the deadly wound was healed. The Muslim religion has been revived, and all the world wondered after the beast. Not all. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, and who is able to make war with him? The UK is taken over with political correctness about Islam. So is the UK. So is Sweden. There were given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months, 3.5 years. Guys, are we in that time? Are we fading out of that time? And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. Look at the Christian prosecution going on worldwide. You don't think you're in the tribulation? And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. Okay? And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, except who? Whose names are not written in the book of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. So, who are the ones that are not going to worship him? The ones with their name written in the book. What happens at the end of Revelation, guys? The books are open. After the 1,000-year millennium, it's not like when you die, you go up to St. Peter's Gate and you get in or out. No, there's a 1,000-year millennium. Then the gates are open. The books are open. Who? By Christ. So if your name's not in that book, before the wrath of God, you're in trouble. You're going to take that mark. Let's look at it closer, guys. Don't miss any of this. It says, he that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life, slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. Guys, these are the end times. Are you listening? He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with a sword must be killed with a sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Think about that sentence. And I beheld another beast come up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, but he spoke as a dragon. This is the false Christ, like a lamb, but with the voice and the message of the dragon. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Islamic religion. And he doth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. Guys, this is the same fake magic that in the Old Testament, these fake priests tried to use, but the men of God always could outdo them, bring the real fire down, right? You remember that? And how would you do it now? How would they fake it? Because they would actually have the satellite imaging of an asteroid or a group of asteroids that were about to impact the earth, causing this fire to come down. They know it's coming, and they say, well, we're going to cause it to come down, when they've been seeing it coming for 30 days or 30 years and hiding it from us. They can only pretend to create the wonders of God. Remember that? And he deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he hath power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. Who made it through this deadly sword? And what's on the rise nationwide now as far as religion, worldwide? Islam. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Does it remind you of Obama's speeches? About the speeches now against Christianity, praising Islam? And he causeth all, both small, great, rich, and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Now, who does not get this mark? The people that have their names in the book of life. Here's wisdom, let me back up, because if you get this mark, if you take this mark, which is a whole different study, many of you that understand Hebrew understand what this mark is, or Greek and Aramaic that's been translated or transliterated. That mark, guys, is not a chip. Okay? In your forehead is what you believe, in your right hand is the work that you do for your church, for your nation, for your God. And that you believe that this one leading you, this new false beast, this false prophet, is the true Savior. So you're intentionally believing in your forehead and symbolic in your right hand in Hebrew. That's the work you do. Anyway, another video, says, here's wisdom. Let him that understandeth count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, not Christ. A number of a man is number 666. Here, let's continue for a moment to the important part. Now, why is it so important to understand everything about this mark? Why? It says, and I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth. Guys, do you believe that can be happening now, as messages are being sent worldwide and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people, saying with a loud voice, fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of waters. And there followed another angel, saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Guys, this is not New York. This is the New World Order, the one world order. You heard Angela Merkel talk about it today, that all nations must give into this one world order. It is Babylon, the one world order, this confusion. Third angel followed. What he say with a loud voice? If any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God. But let's stop there a moment. Because if you look at Matthew 24, Mark 13, or Luke 21, you know there's a tribulation of Christ, or tribulation of man, and we're seeing that. Then we see where these people that went through the tribulation of man before the wrath of God, that stayed true, were taken up in spirit. Many died, most died. They left behind this body, but because they were true, they were taken up. What happens after that? Comes the wrath of God. And that wrath of God, guys, is past the tribulation of man, past the turning point. The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God. So these people that are left here past this point are not going to be saved. They are part of the wrath of coming of the day of the Lord, that great and mighty battle. It says, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. That's Christ. And how long will it happen? The smoke of the torment ascendeth up forever and ever. And they will have no rest day or night, who worship the beast in his image, or whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Here again is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God in the faith of Jesus. And I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, Write, Blessed are the dead which die in the Lord from henceforth. Yea, saith the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them. Guys, we're getting to the point in time to where everything matters on the right side. Because we're getting to that day to where you've got the narrow path or the wide path. The wide path leads to destruction. It's an easy road that leads to hell. And remember, if you go past that point to where you're deceived at this last time, there's no turning back. There's no turning back. We've reached the point in the civilizations that God put here to learn their past mistakes, if you understand what I'm saying, to where now we're in the final exam. Let's quickly look at that difference between the tribulation of man and the wrath of God to end this video. Now again, let me remind you, some of the past videos I've done on this subject took an hour, and I don't want to do that. But if I go to a verse like I'm going here, a chapter, Matthew 24, go there, read the whole thing. Matthew 24:21, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, not ever shall be. Now notice these words are in red. What had happened? The disciples on the Mount of, coming off of Mount of Olives there, had asked God, or asked Christ, when would be the signs of the end times? He said, Christ continues, he said, and except those days be shortened, there should be no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. The elect, guys, that's another video, but they're part of the people that their names are in the book of life. They also will be the pillars in the temple of Christ during that millennium. It says, then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here's Christ, or there, believe it not. Why? Because he doesn't want you to take that mark. It's not a chip. It's your belief. What did he say? Believe it not, for there shall arise false Christs, false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they should deceive the very elect. Behold, I have told you before. Why, if it were not, why is it not possible, guys? Because you all have studied. You understand that if he brings fire down from heaven, that it probably has been known for a long time by NASA, and they're only taking advantage of that situation. This has happened many times in the past. It says, wherefore, if thou shalt say unto you, behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. For as the light coming out of the east, and shineth even into the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man shall be. For wherever or wheresoever the carcass is, there will be the eagles gathered together. Guys, here is the mark of the beast in your forehead, what you believe. Listen to me. This is not just an overnight revelation. I've been teaching this for over 30 years. This is what it's telling you. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. Listen, after, what did it say? Matthew 24:29, right above that. Immediately after the tribulation, after, not before, not during, then we will see the true sign of the Son of Man. That's Christ. But it's after that tribulation, but not before the wrath of God. It says, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Guys, do you understand what has just happened? This is not the rapture as many people think about it. When God gathers your spirit, you're no longer in your physical body, any way you want to look at that, okay? But we know not the day or the hour, remember, but we do know the signs of the times. So after this tribulation of man, we'll see Christ coming. The angels will harvest the elect. Then comes the wrath of God. If you are a son of God, if your name is in the book of life, you will not see the days of the wrath. If you start to see those days after Christ comes, you're in a world of trouble, my friend. But again, this message was on my heart. It's a heads up. Be safe.